So vulnerability is the truth that there are things over which I do not have control. There are things over which there are forces other than my will, my desire, my wishes, my efforts, my intentions, my good heart, my hard work. Forces that will do what they will do anyway. And that's vulnerable. The distance between what I want and what I can make happen is this space of vulnerability. And we bump up against little examples of that. Oops, I forgot my keys. Bigger examples of that. My daughter is playing in a group of girls where there's a dominant one, and I don't have a lot of control over the mother of that child, never mind that child, to be able to change those dynamics to, you know, bigger than that in a diagnosis of cancer, or you know, bigger than that and bigger than that, you know, earthquakes and whatnot. There, from the little things right up to these massive global universal forces. I have so many places where what I want bumps up against a wall of futility, that even though I want it and even though I try really hard and do my best, I can't make it happen. And the experience of vulnerability is at the biological level in the body. It's this feeling of anxiety, okay? And that's why I'm spending so much time working with you, getting you to slow down into the body, into the specifics of your thumbs and the specifics of your throat and the specifics of your breathing. Because if you can hear that phone call from your body saying, hello, you're up against a human vulnerability, perhaps it's that people don't understand something. And you walk into a group and they're discussing something and you realize, man, they're missing the point. And you can't make them get it. You can hope that they get it and do your part to help them get it, but sometimes people don't want to get some stuff too. Sometimes their needs or feelings or fears get in the way of really wanting to understand something that might be really important for you and important to you that they understand. Oops, vulnerable, really hard, okay? What vulnerability really means is just that I'm not the boss of something that matters to me, okay? Now, that's a fact whether I'm willing to admit it or not. It's just a fact. The really delicious human thing is I could actually let myself know that that's true, or I could defend against it. The moment the vulnerability comes up in my body, that is, the signal comes up in the anxiety, that's the point where I could become conscious of my vulnerability or stay unconscious and defend against it. It's prior to having my dukes up when the vulnerability is there. Yes. In that moment, just before the dukes are up, the moment where you're feeling like something really important to me isn't entirely in my control. In this case, perhaps the conversation about, you know, what had been going on and something really matters to you about that, and wanting to be understood and feeling like you weren't going to be understood. All of that's there. The choice is to present the vulnerability or defend against the vulnerability. Because I think when we actually take care of the anxiety of the vulnerability, very often what's underneath that is a feeling of sadness, because sadness is the emotion that goes with the I can't undo this bad thing that happened there. I can't make you want to understand. I can't force this thing to happen. And the feeling of that is kind of helplessness, and there is a rising up of some sadness. Yeah, well, I think what the difference is that I actually am saying what's true for me from the vulnerability rather than from the defense, where I'm going to make my point and make my point and make my point, and if it's not heard, I'm going to push harder, and it's less vulnerable to. I mean, by definition, a defense is to protect my vulnerability. But if I don't have to protect my vulnerability, if I can express my vulnerability, and I'm going to say very clearly, I'm saying not in an impulsive way, not just an unconscious eruption, whether it's an unconscious defense over here, or just an unconscious, eruption of this rising up of something. I actually want to have this ability to, I call it regulate it. That is to ride it out, to be surfing that wave, and I don't take action. Action could be saying something or it could be doing something, but I don't take action till the wave has both crested and ebbed. And my action is on the other end of the wave. It's not at the peak, which is quite difficult because I have the urge to act, the impulse to act when the wave is high. And I also have the urge to defend when the anxiety is high. So I'm asking you to hold on with the anxiety and bring it down. And then as the wave's going, I'm asking you to hold on a second time and wait till the wave gets to the shore. So 2 times you're having to kind of hold on. That means you have to have a good capacity to hold. This thing I talk about, to have and to hold, this book I've written, to have and to hold, it's about holding. Not crunching down and holding, but holding with love and compassion, holding yourself in the anxiety till it comes down, and then holding yourself as the intensity of the sadness or anger is at the peak, because that's not when action is going to be fruitful. Down at the bottom, when it's down here, now I can express, and man, do I ever have a lot of power there. If I express my sadness, it sounds mature. If I express my anger, it just sounds mature. It sounds compelling. People can still disagree. People can still have their experience, but there's nothing in that communication that I'm going to walk away and feel ashamed of or embarrassed of or need to apologize for. It's going to come from a very true place in me, a very authentic place in me, and I'm going to feel really powerful.